This evening we're discussing the passing of President Mills and matters arising. And with me in discussion are Emmanuel Asigri and Nana Kofi Opong Damwa, all members of the MPP communications team. We'll first of all start by extending our condolences to the National Democratic Congress, the ruling party, to the President of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, and the entire government for the loss of Professor J.A. Mills. May his soul rest in peace. Asigri, day one, Tuesday, how did you get the news?
Harry, before I go into the issue you've put out there, I want to take the opportunity to also extend my sympathies to the bereaved family of the former president of the Republic of Ghana and his party and the current president. And in doing that, I would also want to extend condolences to the family of my former constituency organizer who passed away last Saturday and was laid to rest this morning. And he is in the person of Paul Anongya Abugri, who died here in Accra, but the body was transported home for burial this morning. I want to extend my condolences to his wives and children and sisters, mother, and the extended family, and the MPP at large in the Garutempane constituency. Perry, having said this, you apologized to viewers for the program starting late because of the traffic situation we had to go through before we got in here. I want to say that probably, as you've said, it might look like it's the usual normal situation we are faced with here in Accra. And then having to bring up this, I am calling on the police administration to step up and look at what is really happening. Because since Monday, what we are going through here in Accra, it is unheard of. I mean, I have lived in Accra for more than 10 years and I have never gone through a situation like we have gone through in the last 3 days. We have the usual Christmas traffic, which when engulfs Accra becomes an issue. But this time around, what is happening, I can't comprehend. Because you find yourself going through, roads that you less expect that you would have this kind of a situation. And it is stuck. And it has affected the entire city of Accra. Yesterday I was around the
street. Well, that has taken 30 minutes of our time. Yeah, so hit the nail right on the head.
I'm raising it because it is quite an unfortunate situation for us.
Where were you on Tuesday when you heard the news?
Tuesday, Perry, I arrived from Tamale, having traveled to Bolga that weekend.
And how did you hear the news?
I arrived by flight 5:40 at 2:55 p.m. And just when we disembarked and I picked my car and I was driving into town, I got a phone call from a close relation. And she called to ask if I had heard of anything like the president passing away. And I was like, oh, this is probably like what we experienced some few weeks ago. And she was like, no, the source from which I got this information is making me feel that there's something more to it than the last time. So I was like, well, I'll do my checks and also get back to you. Before I could even make a call to do some checks on this matter, I got a second call from a friend who wanted to also inquire for me as to whether I'd heard about what had happened. Then I said, well, let's take it easy because we had this situation hitting us again some few weeks ago. And I don't believe that this is what has happened. Not too long after that second call, I parked at a usual place where we all go to eat. It's an eatery that you are familiar with. And that's Semis. I sat with friends and they also asked me that they had gotten calls on this matter. Just as these friends brought this issue up and we were talking about, the first caller who called me back and said, look, I have made my checks from another source and I want to tell you that this is what has happened.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Kofi, how did you get the news?
I was at our headquarters We just organized a press conference and we're getting ready to, dispatch the reporters and everything when I received the call that something of the sort had happened. I was being extremely careful about handling the matter because we've had several instances of such from very, very seemingly credible sources, sometimes even from the seat of government. And so I was being very careful with it. But the calls kept on coming. They were very insistent. And then finally, our checks revealed that yes, it was true. Let me say that it was a very, very, solemn moment for all of us. It was a moment of sadness. The nation was instantaneously thrown into mourning, and you could feel that there was that grave silence in everybody's hearts and mind at that particular point.
You were at the party headquarters. What was the mood? What happened?
I mean, we had just finished the press conference. We had made our point on a couple of very pressing issues, and we're getting ready to, as a communication team, go out there and defend our stance on the matter when all of a sudden the news came and you could see that it threw us off track. Everybody, people were huddling together in groups. We had to call ourselves together and find a necessary response for some of these things. So it wasn't a good thing. It was a very solemn moment. It was a very solemn moment. It was a very disheartening moment. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Then the national chairman, I know, addressed that press conference. After the press conference, what other things happened that evening?
Immediately this news happened, we knew that our press conference was thrown off track, but then, we immediately had to bring ourselves together and get the necessary responses that we had to have. The national chairman also went out to engage media men and put out condolences. We also decided to plan and put ourselves together and go out there to show the solemnity of the moment and mourn with the bereaved, as well as send out the necessary condolences that we had to send to all quarters. That condolences had to be sent to. I must say that I commend the national executives of the New Patriotic Party, because in all of this they have shown a very grave sense of sincerity and maturity in all of this. We managed to stay above the fray. Immediately we heard the news with the order that the flags at the headquarters be flown at half-mast. We got together, organized a quick moment of silence, and then we started to do the right things. We must also commend President John Ajekun Kufuor, who has gone out there to assure President Mahama that he will be there for everything that he needs him to be there for. They've also gone to all the necessary quarters and expressed their condolences, especially to the First Lady.
We'll come to that. Let me go to Asigi. After that, the national chairman issued a statement in solidarity and a message of condolence to the NDC, the family, and Ghanaians as a whole. We know also that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who was around Evaluadua constituency, halted after hearing the news on Ankobra FM at a point. The whole convoy grounded to a halt and quickly had to rush to Axim, called off the campaign, got on a flight to Accra to join former President Kufuor to go and visit Mrs. Nadu Mills, and then went to the castle to visit Mr. John Dramani Mahama. Then that evening, we had a quick transition where the vice president had to step into the shoes and become the new president. What are your thoughts around the transition, comparing it to our democratic process and how Ghana has been held up, for our democratic credentials in the last 20 years?
Well, Perry, I think that with regards to the transition which you've just brought up, if you look at what happened on that very day, it is a feather in the cap of our democratic process. But I think that the way we've touted the whole thing, I do not think that this particular scenario, is one thing that makes our democratic process looks like we've not been faced with challenges before. If you take the recent past, just with regards to the 2008 elections, when a ruling government, had lost an election with that close margin
of 40,000.
I mean,
when 205 ballots.
Yes, when over 200,000 ballot papers, had been declared not
bad ballots.
Yeah, bad ballots. And its presidential candidate, who is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who still stands as a presidential candidate for our party, you know, did not call for a recount. I'm bringing up this because in just some few weeks ago, I think that matter is still pending. A country like Mexico, they held an election and an incumbent government that is losing is asking for a recount. And I think that there is a deadlock as we speak now. You know,
so it's a feather. It's a feather
yeah,
in our cap.
This particular scenario,
it is not new.
Absolutely, it's not new.
We've transitioned from one party and one government to another peacefully, even under more intense circumstances after three different rounds of an election, and therefore still it's a feather.
Absolutely, in our cap. It's a feather in our cap because if you take what happened, we have some examples again to look at. You know.
We don't have time, so let's bundle the issues as we go along. Kofi, a week of mourning was declared by President Mahama. What are your thoughts? After the week of mourning was declared, other things have happened, and that week of mourning ended yesterday.
First of all, I must say that the week of mourning was in line with modern practices, where if a man of such a stature falls, it's only right that we show our grief by declaring such periods of mourning. What I find distasteful, what I find, you know, a little bit disingenuous, what I think is not right was the fact that a week of mourning was declared. The president had already been sworn in, and so by the constitution of the NDC, he became the leader of the National Democratic Congress. What was the need for the calling of a NEC meeting to you know, establish him as the flag bearer? That was unnecessary because the week of mourning was there. The man had just died. The body was not even cold. We should have at least given him the due respect and allowed, you know, the normal processes of grieving to have gone through before we went back to the normal politicking. What I find is that and it's disingenuous because it looks as though certain individuals are desperate to get any political advantage they can get, such that even issues or matters such as the death of a certain president will be used to give them an advantage. That's what it looks like to me. The president has passed away, you know, we've declared a week of mourning. Why did we have to go into a NEC meeting to declare a flag bearer and all of that? That was not right. That was disrespectful to the memory of the late president. We must come out and apologize. All those who were part of that must come out and apologize profusely for such things. And never again should it be repeated. Again, at the 1 week celebration of President Mills, that's, you know, campaign speech.
We'll come to
okay.
the 1 week celebrations. Let's deal with the issues surrounding the period of mourning. Asigi, there was a NEC meeting, and the NEC meeting fixed September 1st as the date for Congress for the NDC to either endorse or elect a flag bearer for the 2012 elections. Why? I know you might not be in a position to answer my question, but why the hurry if we had more than a month ahead of us to go to Congress? Why the rush to nominate a candidate or present a candidate from NEC within the 1 week mourning period?
Yeah, I have heard the General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Johnson Asiri Nketia, popularly known as General Mosquito, speak to this issue when, you know, critics started asking as to why they had to rush into, you know, going in for a NEC which had no conclusion with regards to whatever they were, I mean, they had gone in there to discuss, and that a date which they had fixed, which is more than a month, I mean, would take us more than a month after the demise of the president, you know, to go and
so for instance, the NEC meeting could have been called today, Wednesday, 1st of August.
Absolutely, and that is why I'm coming to that.
Well, that is why we are NPP and they are NPP.
Yeah, but in a situation where you find the General Secretary tell us that, why are we not questioning when the president was sworn in immediately after the president's demise? And you know,
that is a constitutional matter.
Absolutely. And then again, he talks about when the issue was raised about the vice president and that vacuum that was created, thinking that people would have urged, people thought that the NDC would have urged the president, you know, or supported him, not urged him, but supported him to quickly get a replacement because he had stepped into, the shoes of the president or taken up the position as the president, and there was a need to take up that vacuum. You find the answers the General Secretary gave and the kind of, you know, condemnation he gave to those who criticized, especially from our side, because our Director of Communications was the one who first spoke on this issue. And you listen to Asiri Nketia talk about we, the MPP, trying to mourn I mean, he put it in the account context, trying to mourn more than the widow. You know, and I found it very, very,
well, at the end of the day, it is the president of the Republic of Ghana.
And again, you found him talking about we shedding crocodile tears over this matter. And after he made these pronouncements, communicators of the NDC have taken it up and they're running around with it. And I think that sometimes when we have these things confronting us, we should not just think that it is time for us to do the usual politicking, you know, over anything at all that comes our way. Like we are making the analysis now. It was not a meeting that went in to come into a conclusion with regards to this matter. You went in there, and after all, whatever you went and discussed could not be concluded. You've given yourselves more than a month to go
make
in.
a proposal to the right body. Well,
so you talk about 48 hours and you go in to do this.
Kofi, still back to the mourning period, where the president declared a week of mourning. After the NEC meeting, then on Saturday, we saw a lot of political campaigning, especially when all other political parties, the NPP, the CPP, the PPP, PNC, and the rest of the political parties in opposition had declared that they were suspending all campaign activities in memory of our late president. But what did we see on Saturday?
That's where we have serious concerns about as to whether the NDC really loved the man the way they claim to have, you know, loved him, or he was just enough political capital for them to use to achieve their political objectives. I must say on record that I'm very saddened by the conduct of certain very otherwise respectful or respected individuals in the Ghanaian society. Said the Natama Kloationu, Chief Executive of the National Youth Authority, launched her campaign posters on Facebook this very weekend.
And was on TV. She was on multi-TV on Saturday, launching her campaign and speaking to reporters from multi-TV.
Thank you very much. The president passed away on Tuesday. And then within such a very short period of time, you find Obi, who is also, I hear, the morning show host of Radio Gold, also running and openly campaigning in the period where we are supposed to be mourning. It gives two things for me. Number one, the fact that they do not respect the current sitting president of the land, President John Dramani Mahama, who has given orders. And number two, it calls into question the love that they claim to have had for the then sitting president, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. I think that it's a Ghanaian culture that we must respect, that people respect the dead, people give the dead their due. Look, even the devil must be given his due when he dies. Okay. And so within such a period, such a great man of the land, we should not have done those things. And it is wrong. Nobody can justify those things. Well, they should bow their head in shame.
I agree. Then to the issue of where former President Mills will be laid to rest.
Well, Perry, for me, I keep asking myself, what exactly is happening to us as a people in the country under the dispensation of the NDC today? Because you see what is happening. I mean, you've heard various people comment over this matter. Now, religious people are stepping into the matter to offer advice.
Well, a committee has been put together. The news is that the committee has proposed the Flagstaff House and the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. On news file on Saturday, Mr. Haruna Idrisu announced that it was Flagstaff House. By Monday, he refuted his own statements and said that the committee was now meeting and a suitable place would be put out there. Just because after what he had put out, there was a lot of condemnation from the public.
Yes, these two places you've mentioned. Yesterday on one radio station, it was stated as confirmed Flagstaff House as place for burial.
There seems to be
this morning,
an admittance and a rebuttal and an admittance and a rebuttal. This morning on another TV station.
This morning another TV station also stated that they are still looking at the issues. And I'm wondering why it is difficult for them. To start it, yes, we know that President Mills is a national figure. I mean, he's a former president of this country who, in the first time in the history of the country, died on the throne. And for that matter, cannot be treated as just a normal or ordinary person. But first and foremost, he belongs to a family. We've had, comments that have come from the family indicating that they have not even been involved. And some family members, or is it the family leader, Ebusiapeyi, is indicating that he's even going to place an injunction on all these things that are happening. Is this what we want to give to our former president. Now, to talk about the Flagstaff House. This is a man when he lived. For more than 3.5 years as the president of this country, that edifice was built to house and then host or to keep the president there to work and live in there. On so many platforms, journalists threw the question as to why he's not moving in there. When I mean, take my mind back to some answers we got.
Well, the president himself, his spokesperson, Dr. Tony,
so long as Ghanaians don't have water,
of the NDC have said that
his spokesperson told us so long as Ghanaians are not able to get water and electricity and other amenities, the president won't move to live there. And today, the man is no more. And people who are supposed to be working in that committee think that it is right and normal and all right to bury him there. For me, I think that they should rethink.
Well,
because the arguments that have come
I've got to go.
about.
Kofi,
VIP
nominated Kwesi Emisa Atta. What does he bring?
There are serious questions about this man, but for all of us, the general knowledge as at now is that he has superintendent over the greatest loss of value in the city. Statistics show that the city has lost about 1/3 of its value ever since we started getting or generating money from the oil that we have, and so it's a very serious issue. I think that he was restricted to the Bank of Ghana, and he relatively messed up our financial issues. The city is dropping. Inflation they are claiming it's at single digits, but on the other hand, prices are rising and rising and rising to such gargantuan levels. Why then do you want to hand over the entire economy to him?
We have to go. On that note, I'd like to say that the NPP seeks to be setting the pace in determining what our national issues are. The NPP thought about transforming this economy and therefore chose an economist to partner Nanado in making sure that we deliver, or move this country forward. Today, the NDC, seeks to follow the way in that direction. I believe that will continue to set the pace for the NDC to follow. Viewers, you've been on Minority Caucus, and we've been discussing the passing of President Mills and matters arising. May his soul rest in perfect peace.